What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fig Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And we have a special guest joining us today from the Run-In podcast. We got DJ with us. What's going on, man?
It's showtime, folks. Thank you for having me. And man, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Like I'm here at the Tavern. I got drink flowing.
Yeah.
Let's have it.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
I love that cup, man. I like a red Solo cup, but I like with the handle too. Like
yeah. I mean, it's the handle. It is not. It's not.
That's
not
great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners, those that don't know, DJ, tell them a little bit about the Run-In podcast.
Oh, so it's me and Tommy Paradise. We're a pretty good tag team. I feel like we go over the weekend in wrestling. We also we're action figure collectors as well, so we do go over what's happening in that world as well. And then we do a little pop culture, and we rib each other. It's a fun show. And just recently, you guys will be if you guys listen to the show that came out today, Tommy proclaimed himself as All Elite.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I haven't got to listen to it yet. What brought that on?
he just I guess we've been the shows. The shows have been fun, and he just and he lost another subject was how he lost his smile on the recent NXT. So so I think he just came around and I said, you do realize somebody's going to make a graphic of that, right? They're going to have you in front of the Tommy Paradise is All Elite. That's going to happen.
That's great. That's great.
So we have fun. We and sometimes we do Twitch live, and especially after pay-per-views. This next week we might be live on Twitch. So yeah, come on over. We are in the same strike zone as you guys.
Awesome.
There's enough pie for all of us to go around.
I know you guys. I've been talking to Tommy for a long time, because when we first started, I was looking at other podcasts and stuff that were kind of in our wheelhouse, and it was funny. I checked you guys out. You guys started the same week that we started.
That's right.
The same exact week. So I was getting getting some advice from Tommy and stuff like that. So you guys have always been very friendly to the Tavern, so we appreciate it.
Oh yeah. No, it's like I said, there's enough for us to go around.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are do you guys live in the same city? You guys know each other?
Me and Sneed do.
Physically? All right. See, we're on different coasts even. I'm on the West Coast and Tommy's on the East Coast. So we, so it's also kind of a journey of us learning about each other.
That's a fun element to add to it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. We met in the, in the Chick Foley group, and we said, hey, how about I feel like I can do this. In fact, my first time doing this, I was a guest on the Chick Foley show.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. I did the WrestleMania review, with that, the WrestleMania where there was no audience.
Yeah.
And I said, and I listened, and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. And then so Tommy and I met, and here we are.
Yeah, we love Sheena and Seth and Marco and all the Chick Foley crew.
Yeah, speaking of Chick Foley, I know this comes out on Monday, but today we just want to send a special happy birthday to Sheena.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I saw that. Yeah.
Yep.
He had the pic of her, she had the Ravishing Rick Rude there on the beach. That was good.
All right, Sneak.
All right, so Yeah, we have 3 topics, 3 new topics, and we'll go around the horn. We'll talk 10, 15 minutes, depending on how it goes. And then, yeah, you guys ready to get debating?
Yeah, let's
Get
jump
it.
in.
Yeah.
Go. All right, Chad, I'm going to let you lead in because I forgot what our first topic was.
The first topic is best debut.
Oh, best debut.
Best wrestling debut. Now, I guess you can define that however you want to for your pick. The way I took it was best debut of a wrestler debuting in a company, not coming back from an injury, it was like their first time in a company or their first time possibly coming back to a company after leaving, but first debut in a company.
That's
I
an
agree with
easy
that.
one for me.
All right.
Like the one that sticks out in my mind, they kind of go hand in hand. But Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, when they went over to WCW,
Yeah.
like how do you beat that? That was amazing. Like just Scott Hall crashing onto where the announcers were.
Well,
like-
okay, which one? They didn't debut at the same
they
time.
weren't
No,
together.
that's why I said they go hand in hand. Like I would
you're
pick Scott Hall
saying the
first.
two go,
Scott
like,
Hall.
okay.
Scott Hall's was really like you knew that Kevin Nash was coming soon. So, but just seeing Scott Hall like show up like that,
Yeah,
like
when
I
he
wasn't even
came
watching
through the crowd, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "What's he doing here?"
And during a match, like a random
Right.
match was happening,
Yeah.
and they
Middle
stopped the match
row,
like for no
yeah.
reason.
not even a WCW guy. I'm not, I didn't even really watch much, but I just remember watching that, and that just stands out in my mind. Like, holy smokes!
Dude, I remember when that happened
Mhm.
as a kid. This is pre being kind of smartened up on the dirt sheets and stuff like
Right,
that.
I wasn't in dirt sheets. That's
I
right.
wasn't into that, so I was just totally like, "What's going on? Are they just showing? Like, is he just here on his own? Like, what?" I was so oblivious and gullible as a young wrestling fan.
But that's what made it work. Is there weren't like you had to be subscribed to get a dirt sheet in the mail back then, or you had to call
Right.
like here on the East Coast. We had like the Coach Kurt hotline that I used to call. My mom would be like, "Did you dial that number again?" just to get scoops. So there'd be like $20 of charges from dialing 976-1111.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I still remember the number.
I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
if I
a good
even
one.
still like. I don't really like dirt sheets, right? I kind of want to be surprised, like so. I kind of don't like
stay
dirt
away
sheets right
from
now.
them. I stay away.
I try
from
to avoid them at all costs too.
I have a few that I'll wet my beak on.
Right.
But
And
Yeah.
they're like right 1% of the time, right?
yeah. I don't take anything as gospel. I don't think any of them truly know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite one, the only one I'll check is PW Insider because they actually like to check stories before they post them.
Mhm.
And if I see something that's spoiler, then I won't read it. But for news, I like to go there.
Fightful's gained a little respect. I feel like they're pretty. They check their stories, but for debut for me, it's tough because like that double debut at All Out was so good.
It's very
Just being
special.
there live and hearing the just double pop of Adam Cole coming out
Sure.
but that's recency bias. I can't go that soon, even though it was very cool. And I think it was kind of game changing for the industry right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for me, huge fan of this guy. There was always a glass ceiling over him. I never thought he got the true recognition and attention in this company. So when when Chris Jericho showed up on Monday Night Raw
Yeah.
in 1999,
Yeah, that was fun. The countdown, all the
fun-
leading
That
up
was
to
fun.
it.
I mean, he interrupts The Rock. Like you're talking about a guy who was television champion, cruiserweight champion. He was putting on banger matches with like Dean Malenko, Juventud, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, like that whole division. He was so good.
Right.
But then you've got Hogan and the Outsiders and all of and Sting, and they're kind of the top heavy, and he couldn't break into that main event slot. So to see him leave that company and then come in at the main event level on
Right.
Raw, he had the glittery silver shirt on. He just stood with his back to the crowd. The crowd, it was one of those moments where I feel like WCW saw that reaction and was like, wow, maybe we just let a star go. Like, we didn't think he was that level, and they put him in there with The Rock and just blow everyone away.
Yeah.
Love
Well, it
Jericho.
was so NWO centric. Like you were,
Yeah.
like most storylines went through the NWO, and there was really no. What storyline are you going to use with Chris Jericho and the NWO? It just would not. It's a puzzle piece that just didn't fit. Like you said.
Right. They were trapped in that. And that was like around that time was when Goldberg was even coming up. So they had the Goldberg element.
Yeah,
they
the
had,
streak, yeah.
they had, that was kind of in the death throes of the NWO when it was just becoming extremely bastardized.
Like 4
with all
limos will show up
Yeah.
with half the roster in the limos.
It's all the limos. Who's in the limo?
You know who's in the, you know.
Yeah.
That's I used to
Wow.
love Bobby Heenan in those days.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was just losing
He
his
was the
mind
best.
about like, why are we doing this kind of thing? He was just so annoyed. I loved it.
Heenan was great, man.
Heenan's the
Yeah,
best.
Jericho, you know, when with the countdown and when he came out, and I mean it was an awesome debut.
I still remember that when that happened, that was one of the very rare moments where I didn't get to see the Raw. Like, I wasn't home for it. And my
Oh.
buddy was like, I recorded it. Come to the house. So right after school on Tuesday, I rode the bus to his house.
Oh
We
man.
popped the VCR in and I watched it that way, like off the VHS tape. So I didn't get to see it live, but I forget. I was always home for Raw, but that was one of the few moments where I wasn't there. Maybe I can't
Man.
recall what it was, but
Yeah. You know, for this was tough for me too.
Mhm. No, good topic.
There's so many good ones, and I shied away because the one that I picked was Chris Jericho, but I shied away because I know knowing Chad that was going to be his pick. So I shied away and picked something else. And outside of recency bias, I picked the Radicals in WWF.
That's a great one too.
that's a great one.
That's an amazing one.
You know, as a kid, you know, around the same time, you know, as a kid, you're not smartened up to this stuff, and then you see these guys, these 4 guys who you're, you know,
you just saw them a couple weeks ago.
Benoit was recognized as the champ in WCW at the time, and like, you know, you see 4 guys sitting ringside that you're huge. You know, I'm a WCW guy or was a WCW guy, and to see these 4 guys sitting ringside. At that time, I'm thinking, what's happening?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? There's 4 of these guys sitting here ringside. They're all sitting there dappered up, and like, just to see them sitting there was a shocker to me. And you know, going back and reading the story of it now and everything that happened, it's crazy how it all went down. I mean, that was considered to be the death rattle of WCW.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
No, that
within-
was like their guts were right there sitting in the front row. Like
Oh,
that was the
yeah.
heart and soul
Yeah.
of the company.
within a month, I believe they were done.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Or it was maybe more time than that, but it was close.
Probably about a year.
You remember
Yeah.
JR jumping off of Raw that night? They did the injury angle to start Raw so he could get to negotiations right after they were fired.
Yeah, so you could go get them in.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that in the JR book. Yeah.
That's an underrated debut because
That's
like
amazing.
when you really
That's a
look at
good
the history of it, because the 2 things that I think made WCW as hot as it was in the mid 90s was the NWO angle and the cruiserweight division.
Cruiserweights.
So like at that point in time, the NWO is pretty much disintegrated in 2000. It's
Right.
done. It's kind of just not there. And then
Then
you
it's
take
splinter,
the
like you had the 3 different NWOs, right?
And then so that's gone. And the last thing they have to hang their hat on is this young, exciting talent. And then WWE swings in and scoops up 4 of them. And just wow. What a coup. What a coup by Vince McMahon.
And they're sitting like, just because I remember the WWF Raw magazine that came out with them on the cover that said the Radicals on the bottom, and like,
Yep.
that because I had a subscription to the Raw magazine, and I remember getting it in the mail and like just being so like what's going? This is crazy.
And didn't Eddie hits a frog splash at the end of that Raw? Doesn't he break his elbow or break his wrist or something?
Did he dislocate his elbow? I think. Couldn't you see it?
He
Wasn't
got
it like a
hurt
really
instantly.
gruesome injury?
Yeah, he got hurt.
I totally
I gotta see
forgot
that
about that
again.
till you
Yeah,
just said
I'll
that.
see that again now. I missed that one.
I don't know if it was in the debut or the next episode, but I know like they came in strong, and then Eddie instantly got hurt. Like
Wow.
instantly on the debut, he got hurt.
Totally forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
DJ,
good
who you
knowledge.
got for best debut?
Well, the Shockmaster, of course, but no. I had the Undertaker.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a
I'm just
good
like, man, the guy walks in, the whole crowd, instead of we're talking about pops here, and this guy with his gimmick, the perfect thing happens. Everybody stops. Like it's total silence as he walks through because everybody's just so taken aback by this character that just walked in. You had Roddy when you're watching on the show, he's selling like look at the size of that ham hock, so I was like, what? I mean, then the guy, like, of course he's still living this gimmick as we speak, but yeah, just like I thought that was it was perfect. It was like, again, something that of course we were far from dirt sheets then, and just the shock factor and everybody like that. It's the Undertaker and everybody is so shocked, and some kids are like scared.
Yeah, they were showing the kids like
like their eyes were
worried.
bulging out of their head from fear.
Yeah.
And and then you had this guy that would in the match, even like he would go slow at like you're thinking, is he kind of a zombie kind of thing, and then all of a sudden he does something really quick. You're like, okay, I don't know what to make of him now. Like, so it's just one of those debuts that
Iconic,
don't forget.
man.
Yeah, the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest gimmick of all time. That's the debut of the greatest gimmick of all time.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up, DJ, because Tom doesn't even like The Undertaker.
Oh my Lord.
He doesn't. Tom doesn't even like The Undertaker. Never did.
I have the
never live that
Undertaker
down.
box from WWE. See how much
you
can I
bought it
not like him?
Well, you bought it as a collector, but as a character. Yeah. Didn't you say that was the worst gimmick of all time?
No, I never said that was the worst gimmick of all time. I said I wasn't the biggest fan of his. Putting words in my mouth, twisting my words.
Chad, we need to go back and pull some of the
We need to pull the audio clips.
It
from
was
those
on a
early
debate
debates.
show. We could find it and pull it up.
Well, it's out there.
I think he said he preferred the American Badass.
I did. I absolutely said that.
Yeah.
See, Chad remembers.
Okay, I didn't like
American
American Badass that much either, so
No.
I'll be with you on that one. But
he was my favorite part of the Undertaker, the American Badass.
God.
No, like I was like, he might as well have been with 8-Ball and what's his name when they had that. Like that was like the same gimmick. Like, what are we doing here? They better put a rope back on that guy and have him walk down the aisle. A motorcycle? Like what?
He'd come out, put his fist in the air to
And then
limp
Yeah.
we got to hear rolling, and we got to hear rolling all day, and
the most uncool biker metal song that you could pick for a biker character.
like we
you
couldn't
pick
hire
the
AC/DC or somebody,
Right,
for this?
right.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't he have a Kid Rock song also?
Yeah, American Badass.
Yeah, American,
yeah.
like.
Yep.
Which I mean, okay, if you, I'll reserve my opinion about Kid Rock.
Tom's favorite version. That's Tom's favorite version. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic of the evening. And that's DJ, you brought this topic to the table, and that is who is the best second/third generation wrestler of all time? And since it's your question, I'll defer to you. We'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I guess from watching, like we had Pillman Juniors out there now, and we got also Breaker out there, and so it made me start thinking of stuff. Like I was like, hey, look at all these kids that we grew up, like the kids of people we grew up watching are now in the ring,
Right.
So I thought this was an interesting topic.
Definitely.
and it's hard. Like, so I tried to pull myself away from everybody in the bloodline. Like, and I'm talking about the whole bloodline, the whole, like the whole family there that has been in the ring. That it's almost not fair to have them. So I'm just gonna make them an honorable mention because
You just got rid of half the second generation.
yeah.
So it's not fair though. It's like so.
No.
Because it's like, I mean, come on, The Rock. Like, all I got, if I just say The Rock, like that's pretty much over.
That's an
Like,
obvious choice.
Yeah. So, so this was a tough one though. I guess you kind of have to bring up Charlotte. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
and she's in there doing things that Rick wish he could do. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
like Rick was not doing any moonsault back, any moonsaults or anything of that nature in a match. Like, I mean, everybody on this panel knows like Rick had 5 moves. Like we know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but Charlotte came to mind for me when I as I was going through my head of the best.
That's a great pick because I think she's the greatest women's wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't think that's recency bias. I think she's the best.
I think she has to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
What she does every match you have, every match she's on, you watch it because it's just she elevates it.
Yeah.
She's so good.
I'm
She's
a big
very good.
Bailey fan too, but I mean Charlotte's on another level.
Yeah. Yeah. I was debating between Charlotte and Tamina. So I think
Well, I mean, Tamina's technically not in the bloodline.
That's true.
that is true.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'll pick Bret Hart because he's
Yeah,
Bret the
that's
Hitman Hart, and
Not-
look what he's so good, so good. Like his good. First of all, his run as a face was amazing, and then that little part of the Hart Foundation at the end when he went heel in the WWE. We won't even count the WCW stuff, but
Right. Yeah, you
he
can.
was
I'm
so
good with
good.
that. Well, and
It's
just
such
the
a-
fact that you can be a heel in one country and a baby face in another, I thought
Oh,
that
that's
was
huge.
That was just
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
That was
And
just
not
brilliant
change
writing.
anything you're doing. You stay
Or not
exactly
change a
in
thing.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The excellence of execution, man.
I mean that to me, like when I look at this topic, there's 2 names that if you throw all the caveats away, the 2 names that jump out's The Rock and Bret Hart.
Mhm.
Like if you're wanting to talk about just pure greatness, those 2 are. I mean, they're
It's
Mount
hard to-
Rushmore wrestlers. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yes.
they're there.
Right.
Who do you have, Sneed?
Well, so for me, I didn't go with Rock. I didn't go. I mean, but I did go. I went Randy Orton, man. I think Randy Orton.
He's in the conversation
I mean, what is he?
Another great pick.
13, 14-time champ, and then
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
And then got- and then
It's
got
in the
to
double
come up-
digits.
and got to come up under the tutelage of being in a faction with Triple H, Batista, and Ric Flair at such a young age. Like, and the guy's still going in and putting on great matches.
He is.
Yeah, and
And his promos only lately have gotten to a point where they never were before.
he's always been a good promo though.
Yeah, but he's gotten so much better. Even he said
He's
out when
gotten
he was
better,
on
yeah.
Broken Skulls with Steve Austin, he said he never took the promo seriously. He talked about that. Like he didn't think he needed to. Like it was an amazing episode he did. And then when I went back and watched the one he was talking about, I was like, yeah, he's right. Holy crap.
Well, to your point, that's how it works in wrestling, though. Like, I think wrestlers really get it, like, at about 35.
Yeah.
And that's when they really get it. And that's what we're seeing here is like you had a kid. He came in as a kid. He was a kid. So just think we saw him for like 10 years before he got to be 35. So,
And
so go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was gonna say, and when he came in, man, he not only he was a kid, but man, he looked like a kid too.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
We've watched him grow up,
Right.
From just a kid to what he is now. Yeah,
He had that kid barbed wire tattoo going around your bicep.
Yeah.
thing,
he was a baby face. He had a baby face. Yeah.
He's one of those guys too for me that like even though he's held all these titles and he's been in some pretty epic feuds and the Evolution and Legacy and all these factions and stuff, I still feel like he's never got the respect that he deserves. And I feel like he's never truly been like, to me, he's so great. Like he's one of the most underrated workers in the ring. He's
Yeah.
just smooth and reliable and technical. And I feel like that guy
Tells
could
a
be
story.
like, yeah, he could be a career heel in WWE. He could be the biggest heel in that company right now if he wanted
For
to.
sure.
Like, if they
sure.
Or
were
even
to-
kind of like Stone. Like, I mean, when you talk about Stone Cold and
Yeah.
like say the Legion of Doom, they didn't change
At
anything.
all. Yeah.
And they were
right.
just baby faces because we couldn't help it. You know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he has that quality to him. For me, there were two that, because I was kind of with DJ. I feel like The Rock was an obvious one. I felt like Bret Hart was an obvious one that someone would probably pick. So I tried to go a little different.
Mhm.
I have two. My runner up would be Terry Funk.
Okay.
I think he's one of the
The
most.
Funk family.
Yeah.
I love the Funk fam. Dory Funk. You know
Yeah.
that his promos.
Yeah.
His feud with Ric Flair in the late 80s, early 90s, like that whole run. This guy, go back and pull up his promo work. I mean, he was a genius. And then, not to mention, he has a second life as kind of the godfather of ECW,
Right.
and bringing that company to prominence in the mid 90s
With no knees.
Yeah,
With
Yeah, no
knee.
knees, literally.
He's like,
and
he has the quintessential attitude of what old school wrestling is all about. But the guy I picked,
And he's a great actor.
yeah, he's a great actor. Been in some good movies. Roadhouse, love Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. It'd be nice until it was time not to be.
Yeah.
Speaking
Nice.
of acting, if we're talking about acting, I got to bring up the acting of I mean, we had the Marine too with Randy Orton. So
Oh, here we go.
There we go. But my number one pick, Eddie Guerrero.
yeah,
The Guerrero
Ooh,
family.
The
that's
Guerrero
another good
family.
Yeah.
And I think we only got to see, unfortunately, a taste.
Right.
Like DJ's talking about, wrestlers really start figuring it out in that between 35 and 40, man. That's
Yeah.
the sweet spot. When you hit your 40s, that's when you're like, you just
People
have
are
it.
over, and when they're
Yeah,
40.
you have it. And if he was still here today,
I think he'd
would,
still be going.
he would still be going, and he would be mentioned with. He would be. I think he even with his life being cut short,
He'd
he's
be
still
like up
mentioned.
there with Jericho and
Yeah, he would be a Mount
yeah.
Rushmore guy. I mean, people say he's a Mount Rushmore wrestler with his career being cut short. Can you imagine if he had the last 15 years of wrestling to add to his body of work?
he did like just like we're talking about underrated. I mean, you got to remember he did he was undisputed champ. He was tag team champ.
Yep.
So he was racking up. He was getting straps, and he was just over. Like you hear that first couple of beats of his music, and everybody was on their feet.
Yep, lie, cheat,
so-
still, Latino heat. I mean, that guy, the storylines he was in, the feud with Rey Mysterio, all the feuds and matches in early WCW. Like this guy, Eddie Guerrero, is not. I remember some asshole on Twitter came out and said he was overrated or something, and
that guy got blasted.
He got blasted for saying that because to me,
who was so I always I like to bring those people like, okay, well, who was who was so much better than if he's overrated.
Yeah.
Right.
And they usually bring up some, some punch and juvie guy that they were fans of, and it's just like, no, dude, you got and if you're too young, go look. Like you guys got these youngsters you got all this stuff that you can go look back and look. If you don't know, go look back.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's a podcast. I saw a podcast where someone said, "Oh, I think Sting was overrated." And I was like, are you talking Sting now, or are you talking Sting his whole career? I was like, if you're talking his whole career, then yeah, you need to go do your homework and come back.
Yeah.
And come back and see me.
Yeah. No, Sting's one of my favorites of all time.
I love
the
story with Eddie of how honored he was when they chose to put the belt on him.
Yes.
I've heard that a bunch of times. It meant so much to him.
Yes.
And to hear guys who really appreciate it like that always just elevates them in my mind. And
I think there's something with second generation, third generation wrestlers too, where
They know.
they get the importance of the business. There's a reverence for the business where,
Right.
like, with a guy just coming in, maybe it's for the fame, maybe it's for the money. Do they really understand the weight, and do they respect the business?
Exactly.
And I think when you're raised up in that, and your grandfather was wrestling and your father was wrestling, like, there's something about those guys.
It's your heritage, man.
Yeah.
Because just
So
like
true.
going back to the Samoan line of wrestlers, even like, so I live here in the Bay, and so they're like, the Usos, the Roman Reigns, and then there's a couple of other guys coming up in the independent wrestling I go to watch here, that one guy like Jacob Fatu just came out of.
Oh, he's awesome.
So I've sat with their family and talked to them before, like, and they like, so it's the family business. Like, that's like, if you don't make it in football, this is what you're doing. And they totally, and like you said, they are just totally studied up. They know and it's not about how many titles you win. That's not the business. Like,
Right.
the business is entertaining, a butt every 2 feet, like they talk about. Like, you want a butt every 2 feet having some kind of reaction to you.
Yeah.
That's the business. And they understand that totally.
It's crazy how that family has just always been around. They have produced so many
stars.
Stars.
Stars. So true.
Yeah.
The star power there. Oh my.
I mean, the Wild Samoans, The Rock, Roman.
Yeah.
And they're
Usos.
so, I mean, they have
Manga.
they were calling me Oos, and I was calling them Oos by the time we left by the time I left the show. Like, they're just so nice.
I think there's a young guy coming up in NXT. I think
they just saw,
That's right. Yeah, one of the Usos is
the younger brother of
the younger brother of Jimmy.
and Jimmy.
Yeah. And he and I gave it 2 years. He'll be a star. Like,
oh yeah.
He'll be a star.
There was another one that was showing up on AEW Dark. I forget his name, but he was tied in with the family too.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right. I forget his name as well. I wonder how I've been wondering about the Rock Starter.
Yeah, she's still in NXT.
Yep.
She's still down there. I wonder when she'll debut and actually wrestle.
Pictures. She's still, you can tell she's still training. Yeah. And so let's see how that goes. Like, if she's got any of that charisma going.
It's so exciting to just see, like, even when Brock Anderson had his first match and it's Arn's son, he looks like Arn. I was
he looks exactly like Arn. Like, it's like Arn would get laughed off of Maury Povich if he tried to go in there and say, I don't know about this kid. Everybody would just start laughing. Okay, come on, Arn.
That was going to be my next point, man. Like, that was such a good question, because now, the guys that we mentioned were guys that, they were kids of people we never really watched, Yep. But now we're seeing people coming in of guys that we watched, and it's so much fun, the Pillman Juniors, the Braun Breakers, the even Steve
he looks like a mix of Scott and Rick. It looks like if you morph Scott and Rick together. And then, did you hear his voice last week? He sounds exactly like Scott. Like, so I'm like,
he sounds exactly like Scott.
I love the onesie. The colors that he's wearing on the gear is even perfect. I'm like,
it's just a shame that they don't bring up the fact that he's a Steiner.
Well, they say dog. I've heard them say dog-faced gremlin a couple of times.
Yeah, but
and I don't think he wants it. I don't think he wants that name to be said.
Really? Like, it hurts them more than it helps by not paying honor to, like, him being part of the Steiner family.
Charlotte at first didn't want it either. At first, so wait, give it a minute. Like, he'll, like, these kids. See, I have a teenager. Okay, so and I know the mentality. We'll give it a minute. He will, get knocked around the ring for a few, and he'll see what it's gonna take. Like, what this business is really about, and then I mark my words, you will see him add the Steiner name.
It sounds like a Vince McMahon move to me.
To me, it does too.
Like, they want it to be their name and not
Yep.
A Steiner.
they it's the same thing with Curtis Axel. Like, why is he not a Hennig? Why is he not a Hennig? They don't want someone to get over on their legacy. They want to build them and get them over the way they want to get them over. And I don't.
Well, getting them over, and like just speaking from the business sense, like he want, like, you know, like say for example Keith Lee, like he cannot own Keith Lee name because that is his birth name.
Right.
So if I give you a name, you know, going with you guys' point, like, you know, if we're gonna, you know, looking at this from both sides, if I give you a name, now I own that name.
Right.
Okay, so now whatever you make with that name, I get a piece of it.
Which to me that's
but if he wants to leave, then okay, well, you can't use our name, you know.
Yeah,
it's petty. It's petty, but it's also, you know, when you're running a corporation, you know, and you're the sole, you're right now you're the owner of that company. You're gonna look for ways to get that money.
Yeah, it's just a different philosophy, I think.
It
because
is.
like to me, it's greedy corporate bullshit. You have
I agree with
billion-dollar deals with TV companies. You don't need to do that. Like it's like they wanted to. Adam Cole was on Chris Jericho's podcast, and they wanted to change Adam Cole's name when he went up to the main roster, and then he goes to AEW, and they let him keep his name. And that's the name he had in ROH. That's the name he had in New Japan. It's like, but they don't. But then there's that other philosophy where no, we want to strip that away. We want to own everything. That way you can't use it and make money off of something that we built. It's like, I get it, but you're not. If it's a small company, you're trying to protect your assets so you can grow. Maybe I get that, but when you're a corporate monopoly, a giant, and you're still doing that, I'm like.
No, I agree with that.
It only hurts you because you're bringing a guy who has a following, and you want to wipe that out and build it all up again. Let the following come with him. It's only going to bring more eyes to your company. It makes zero sense.
I guarantee you, if people knew, if they pushed it as Rex Steiner, what his name was going to be, I feel like there would be fans out there that would be like, "Holy shit, that's Rick Steiner's son! Let me watch this guy."
Yeah,
let me watch this guy instead of like, "Who's this Braun Breaker asshole?" Oh, he kind of looks like a Steiner. Oh, he is a Steiner. Oh, that's what you know.
He's like Scott with a vocabulary.
Yeah.
So, but no, I am good. Like I liked his just going with the in ring here. I really like his performance so far. Yeah, he's a Steiner. Like you could tell it's just in the blood, you know. Yeah.
Yep. I think he's the most exciting up and comer they have right now for me.
If they freaking let Dexter like actually wrestle, like okay, he got married, now let's get him in the ring. Like he was another one that I was really a fan of. I'm a fan of his. Like I'm not dropping it. But now, okay, he got married. We're good now. Like that can be his valet. But let's get him in the ring now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time we move on to our final topic of the evening. And that is just simply who has the better roster, AEW or WWE?
If there was even an argument, all I got to say is 4 names: Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, and Bray Wyatt. Gone from one company, going to the other one. The pendulum has swung. Like, I don't even think it's even a question right now.
If you would have asked this topic to me 4 months ago, like no argument, absolutely WWE.
Agreed.
Just in spades. Like WWE has a bigger roster. They have more stars. When I thought of this question, though, I was like, to me, it all comes down to the potential excitement of all of the top stars you have, and the potential matchups that you have, the potential main events you have at your hands. And for me, I mean, I think I'm going to agree with the staple. Like right now, after this wave of Punk, Cole,
Malachi.
Danielson, Malachi, all of those guys coming in, it's like they were cherry picking my favorites.
Yes, I mean, I
Like
feel the same exact way.
When they bring in Kevin Owens, if that happens, like the rumors say in January,
When?
like if Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens comes in,
I'm going. Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
all the potential matchups you have, like with, and these are just the guys coming in. Then you have Kenny Omega. You know, you have all the guys they've got at the top already. For me right now, the excitement level of the potential feuds and storylines we have and the way they're going to be used, I have to say AEW's roster right now for me is better.
yeah, and I'm gonna agree with that. And the reason that I picked AEW because like I agreed 4 months ago or when they stopped or before they released everybody. I mean, it would have been a hard argument, but now, not only the potential matchups, but for me, what I looked at was how the roster is used also.
Yeah.
And with AEW, like we don't have to have people on every week. You get a chance to miss these people and they are still in these storylines that mean something. And I just, not only is the roster better for me at this point, but I think it's also being used better as well.
100%.
I had like this totally remind like how history always repeats itself.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of like that, like, so right before Monday Night Wars, where you had like, Lex Luger showing up all of a sudden on a on that, I think it was the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of America.
And then Macho Man showing up, and then so that's what this reminds me of, like of that beginning of WCW making that climb, and then WWE having like the roster of guys that like they're good, but you didn't really like, they didn't like pull it out of them yet. Like we didn't see Shawn Michaels like really get to be the showstopper yet, because they just weren't there yet. Like we were seeing Duke the Dumpster Brody and and that, right?
Yeah.
So
The Repo Man.
yeah, so that's where I think we are again. I think we are back to that, where we're seeing the bigger name, like the names that we knew and that were making great matches in WWE, go to another company, and then they're gonna like, it's gonna be a sandbox over there. Like, and I'm saying that in a good way. Like they're gonna sandbox in it. It's almost like a fig fed over there.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna see WWE say, like, again, get that kick in the ass, fire your television writers. Like that's all. Like to me, that is the crutch of their shows.
That's the biggest thing.
Is that they
100%.
have like, you got like, I mean, we saw the report where there's a woman that did not know who Bobby Lashley is when she got hired as a writer. So just like, so that's we don't need you to write this as a sitcom or something,
Right.
and okay, which I think we started to see, like say that last episode of Raw was actually pretty decent. Like, it's like, okay, that's what we're talking about. Like, we want you to do something. Give us a curveball where all of a sudden we're watching Bloodline versus New Day, where like just out of the blue. That's what we want. So so yes, I'm going to say at this point, for roster wise, yeah, the guys are just went over there. Like they like, and then, I mean, then you're talking about the OG guys that were already there with, like, say, like I love Orange Cassidy. I love, for obvious reasons, I love Darby Allin. And the Lucha Brothers. And I'm going to see, like, in fact, tomorrow I'm going to a meet and greet to see Rey Fenix.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that for now, yes. But I feel like they're once again going to get that kick in the ass and say, okay, we gotta let this talent, we gotta let, take the governor off.
I hope so.
And let this sports car go down because they do have the talent. Like, they still have talent. Like, they still have plenty of talent. Yeah. So let them go. Like, let them do it. Let them.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like, you've got Lesnar, you've got Drew McIntyre, you've got Bobby Lashley, you've got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins,
with Apollo and the Street Profits. Like, these guys can go. Let them go.
Yeah. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, all of these guys. take
So
the reins
they're
off.
ready.
Hey,
I think it's also like when comparing rosters, I think there's an argument for either side. I think it's a lot of it would be like, what type of wrestling do you like?
yeah.
Because
too.
like, you know, they have a lot of those Vince McMahon big guys, the Lesnars, the Lashleys, the
Right.
Drew McIntyres.
Right.
I tend to lean more into those, you know, Daniel Bryan's, Adam
Daniel
Cole's.
Bryan, yeah, no, I can
the-
see that.
I like the high work rate guys. I was
Mhm.
always an NXT guy. I like the Ciampas, the Garganos, where you're going to
Right.
get these crazy paced matches.
For sure. Yeah.
So that, you know, I mean, the Bryan Danielson Kenny Omega match we just watched, in my opinion, was just an all time classic.
Oh,
It was a damn
All
good
time.
match. Damn good match.
did you guys see? Speaking of what DJ was just saying, did you see Eric Bischoff's tweet earlier in the week about Vince McMahon?
Yep.
I'm gonna
I
read
didn't-
it
I
right
missed
now.
Yep.
Okay. He said, in my experience, in getting a glimpse into Vince McMahon's personality, he's
Mhm.
happiest and most effective when he's in a fight. Shit got real last night. Strap in. This is going to be a fun ride. So this was on Tuesday. If that's true, because I've been shitting on Raw for months on the Raw recap show, and I was actually shocked at what Raw put out this week. Even the Alexa Bliss and Charlotte promo, they had Charlotte
That was a
shitting
damn
all
good
over
promo,
Alexa.
yeah.
That, and then Alexa, like, they're starting to fade away from that. Charlotte was saying, "What happened to you? You used to win championships, and now you're this." Like, that was more bullet pointed. That wasn't scripted.
Right.
And if this is a glimpse of the future, it can be excited. But I'm not getting excited yet, because every time I start to think something's going to change, it doesn't. But like, I hope Eric Bischoff is right.
I'm going to play contrarian for a minute.
Okay.
A lot of people say, you know, Vince, he doesn't like to lose. When his back's against the wall, he's going to come out swinging. That's when he's at his best. We hear that all the time, right?
Mhm.
That's all based off of 1997 Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's 20 some years ago. And we talked about this on the last debate. Or no, I think
Sessions. It was on Sessions.
It was on
Yeah.
Sessions. And my thing, like, I don't think promoting a wrestling company is it's a young man's game. It's not an old man's game. Vince is 75. And for people to think that the opinion that he's out of touch is just, oh, he's Vince, he's not. Dude, he's made choices for the last 10 years that you can look at. Not all of the time. He does give us good stuff, but you can look at certain little things throughout the course of the last 10 to 15 years that are signals to me he doesn't have his finger on the pulse of the wrestling fan base.
What was the strategy that he used? Do you guys remember? Like, let's go back to 97. What did he do?
You're gonna talk Vince Russo? Is that what you're bringing up?
No, not Vince Russo.
No.
Not at all.
Give me specifics where you.
So basically, where I'm going with this is that I think even back then he was at a loss, and he just went to the locker room and said, "Look, I need you guys
Very
to
true.
do your thing."
Yeah. He let them.
Yeah,
He took the reins off.
right.
Yeah.
Because
And
if
that's
you-
all we're asking.
that's a
that
great
is basically
point.
all we're asking
That-
right now.
that's a great point, DJ.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Raw,
Mhm.
when Nitro gained steam, like you said a minute ago, it was the Duke the Dumpster Drozies, and it was all of those guys, and he had to. That's a beautiful point. He had to
Yep.
go in that locker room and be
And
like,
then
"Go
the
do
click,
your thing."
and then the click famously went into his office. Is like, look, this is like, okay, and then started going down the roster. Like, okay, this guy, let this guy do this time. You know, they just started. You could like,
Yeah.
so every
Yeah.
wrestler, like, so put it this way: one thing that every wrestler has admitted is that you can go to Vince and say, hey, we should be doing this, and I want to do this.
Right.
Okay, and he
Maybe-
will listen to you.
Maybe this will wake him up to listen to them more than what he's done, because
Right,
he's
yeah.
got to let go of some of the control, or
Correct.
else we're in trouble.
All
Correct.
of
He's
this
got to let go.
all of this plays into my Vince is not a creative genius theory.
Exactly.
All of it.
It really
Yeah.
does.
He's more of a, like, he knows how to.
He's a
like, he
genius
knows who
businessman.
Yeah, and he knows who to, like, say, for example, like, you don't give The Rock a written promo, for example.
Right.
And I think he's smart enough to know that. and he knows that he's going to make money by The Rock just going out there and talking on his own. So
Yeah.
things like that, that's what makes him who he is. Not necessarily, like you say, he's not necessarily like the only groundbreaking thing he really did was say, hey, why are we still doing this? The promotions all over the country. Why don't I just get all the stars and have them in one place? Like that's the only revolutionary thing he did.
Yep.
And then the television and
that was
pop
coming.
culture
If
and
he
pop
didn't,
culture being mixed in.
yeah, and if he didn't do that, I feel like Jim Crockett would have done that.
Probably so.
Yeah, man.
But that's it. After that, it's been, we've been, seeing like, WrestleMania 3 Vince McMahon since now. So so just let these, like, all I'm saying, like, I think all three of us are saying is, dude, you got the people are there. Just let them go.
Yeah.
let them do it.
Yep. That's exactly it. They have arguably the best roster of talent in the world. I mean, I think I pick AEW just because they have a lot of my favorites. Like it's not that WWE isn't great. It's just
the roster is not as strong as it was 6 months ago. They've got to develop some new stars. They're between the releases and the people just letting their contracts expire to leave.
That's the biggest problem, Tom. You hit the nail on the head. Is the thing that makes AEW's roster stronger than WWE right now is they have tons of future stars. Tons.
Yeah.
In WWE, I don't see a lot of those like guys who could be true future star. I mean, the Darbys, the Jungle Boys, the Sammy Guevaras, the MJFs, all these guys in their early to mid 20s, like they're getting all of this work with these Jerichos and Punks and Bryan Danielson now. And I don't see a lot of future building in WWE with their roster.
Well, they're going to have to. Like, so now they kind of force themselves to where that they're going to have to now.
Yeah.
They're forcing themselves to have to develop new stars, which is something they haven't been able to do in a really long time.
Well, I mean, if
I can argue, look
kid,
at everybody that just went to AEW. They developed them to be stars. So that's not true. That's not a true statement.
When is the last time they developed a really big star?
The guys.
Every guy who's come up to NXT, anybody who's come up in NXT in the last 7 years has been a flop, other than really Riddle, and I'm talking male stars because they had the females that were part of the revolution. Riddle and Damian Priest are the only two who've kind of succeeded so far.
Didn't Adam?
There's other guy. Who?
Isn't that like you?
He never came on the main roster. I'm talking guys who came from NXT to the main roster that developed into a star.
So I'm talking about the umbrella WWE. NXT is in that.
I would say none of those guys, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, all of them, they have not built a star like the Attitude Era stars. And that's including
well, that's
those
almost
dudes.
not fair, but yeah. Like Attitude Era.
They don't have that channel.
That's like
changing.
10 million people used to watch wrestling then, right?
Yeah,
so that's almost not fair to say Attitude Era. So I get what you're saying, but
there's not that. There's not that.
But there's no Rock, there's no Stone Cold, there's no Undertaker, there's no that has not happened in a long time.
No, to me, they don't have a lot of stars that if you walk up to someone on the street that's not a wrestling fan and say, "Do you know who this is?" They don't have those stars. Nobody does. AEW doesn't.
I'm about to
either.
say like that's not like where we are with wrestling right now.
Doesn't exist.
Right.
Like if
that's
I were to
not
go,
where we are right now.
Like you could go walk up to any old person, Hulk Hogan, they know, The Rock, they know, but The Rock has became known for stuff outside of. He's more known than
now. He just had too much. He's just too bright, like for lack of a better word, like he's just too much charisma. Like he's just.
Well, there's people out there that know him as an actor and are surprised to hear he was a wrestler.
Sure.
Yeah, some of my coworkers, I showed him some of his promos. And they couldn't believe what they were watching. So
because right now, like, there's not anyone in or no one in WWE that there's Becky and Roman to me that is buy a pay-per-view to watch them. You know,
Yeah.
like they're
yeah.
that powerful of a star. Like
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson, I don't think was even on that level. He wasn't that.
He was that
People loved
underdog
him.
that wrestling fans liked.
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah.
what his character is. Like that's what his character is.
Right.
That's what like that is the one kind of point that I kind of have to give Vince sometimes when he's like, I want the big guy. And so, yeah, it's not going to be, sometimes the match is not going to be great, but he knows that just having that big person that can move around like that and has a little bit of charisma, that person's going to sell tickets. And so that point that Vince says, yeah, but not the whole roster doesn't need to look like that guy.
No,
that's the
no.
problem. Yeah.
And your the person who sold the most t-shirts in your company's history wasn't that guy. Stone Cold wasn't
Not a huge
Hogan
big guy
big
like that.
monster
No.
guy. He was a
medium-sized guy.
Yeah, he was a
no, and that's his, and for Stone, like it was just again like that character, you know, him being like we say on our show, like the best characters are the people that are you're being you turned up.
Oh yeah.
Those are the best characters. That's all Stone Cold is doing is it's just him turned up.
Yeah.
That's what The Rock was. Like he's like that's what he was the whole time. And they allowed him to be basically himself and turn it up.
Yep. And now they don't allow that as much. Certain people get that. Roman Reigns gets that, but I think that's because Paul Heyman took a liking to him.
And I think
and his
Paul
family
probably went into the office banging his shoe on the desk saying, look, you need to let him stop giving him a freaking script. Because I remember when he was kind of this character in NXT, or what we call NXT.
Right.
When he wore the little shorts and he would come out and talk just like he's doing now. And nobody had there was not a complaint about Roman Reigns when he was this character. And then he was pretty quiet on the Shield.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, people didn't like him when he went solo. To me, it goes over my head. Like I went to WrestleMania 31 and asked the guy next to me, dude, why are you booing? And he couldn't give me a coherent answer. I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, so you're just booing because that's just the thing to do then.
Right? Everybody else is. I'm going to do it too.
Yeah, you have no idea why you're booing this guy. So, so that was hilarious to me, and that's what it because when you went to a house show, people did not boo Roman Reigns. In fact, he got huge pops when you went to a house show, but all of a sudden you're on TV. Hey, let's boo him. So so
there was a lot of backlash with him. I think it was like the force feed. Sometimes fans, the hardcores don't like the force feed.
So so just to play advocate, right? So I'm not a fan really of the Elite, really. Like I'm not really into the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega. So what if I'm an AEW fan and I'm like, man, I gotta watch these guys come out here every week? Am I being force fed?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because I think with Roman, it was the fact that they were pushing him and they were making him main event.
They weren't listening to the crowd.
Yeah, not at all.
It was on the TV. That's what a force feed is when the crowd is wanting something else, but you're not. Wrestling is built on listening to the crowd. The crowd, the promoters, that's what it was all about. If they start turning on you and they're not cheering you, you go that way. They weren't doing that. They were doing everything in their power. That lead up to the Rumble, when Roman won the Rumble, he was booed out of that building. Social media was lit up. He was in the ring. They even trotted out his cousin, The Rock, one of the most popular wrestlers in the world, to try and take the heat off of this guy and keep him.
Didn't help.
And it didn't help. So the difference is if the crowd is cheering the Elite and you're the one guy who doesn't like him, the masses like him. So they're going to go with the masses.
I totally don't I've never not been to an AEW event. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So are they that like? So are they like? Is it like that with like say the Young Bucks? Like they're just like everybody's just
No, they
on
boo
their
them.
feet.
They boo them.
Even when they were baby faces, like we're
No,
yeah.
no,
Now
when
I know they're heels. So
No,
are they just that over where everybody just loves the Young Bucks? Everybody.
Oh yeah.
When they were faces,
that I don't know. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm seriously asking a question.
Yeah, we were at Double or Nothing 2019,
Mhm.
Double or Nothing this year, All Out this year, and been to multiple Dynamites and Rampages.
Right.
It's and we've been to tons of Raws. We were at ECW One Night Stand in New York City. Like we've been to tons of big shows. Money in the Bank with John Cena and Kevin Owens going at it.
Right.
Like it's not even comparable when it comes to like crowd atmosphere. Like and I've been to tons of shows, even WCW shows, like ECW, WCW, WWE. I've never experienced a live situation like an AEW show. It's insane. It's insane.
So I got a fun question here. So fun because you guys have been to AEW shows, dude. What's up with the deodorant? Like what is happening? Like I keep hearing reports that dudes are stinking up the joint, like literally. What is going on?
I haven't heard that one.
Haven't heard that one.
Yeah, like that's like I was just going down my news feed and there's like multiple people like I love the show, but I would love for the people that have been sitting in my section.
I haven't picked up on that. That sounds like some WWE hater shit.
It sure
does. That's why I'm at. I'm like, let me ask some people that actually were there.
What that sounds like is a somebody trying to take a jab, calling them nerds almost.
Yeah, sweaty basement nerds. It sounds like the same people that's probably mad at Daniel Bryan for leaving the company. It sounds like it's one of those guys.
Yeah,
I've been going to WWE events for 40 plus years, and when I went to Dynamite and to Rampage, I've never experienced anything like that. All the wrestling I ever have been to. Everybody's there as a family. It's such a fun experience.
I've never had that happen. Yeah.
I don't know. Some people stink. I don't know, but. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for the week. DJ, let everybody know where they can find you and the Run-In Podcast.
Well, so for me solo, like I am Fig Knight 27 on every piece of social media. So that's FIGKNIGHT 27. And the easiest way for the Run-In, just go runinpod, oneword.com, runinpod.com. Everything is there. All of our codes, all of the episodes, everything is on that website.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, tell Tommy he's up next.
Oh,
Put him in the hot seat.
Yeah, he's got to be. You guys got to ask him some AEW stuff
now. All elite.
Yeah.
Tom, go ahead and get your stuff in before we get out of here.
COG Fit Kid, Twitter and Instagram. Turnbuckle Sessions every Wednesday. If you didn't listen to me and Chad yet, check it out. It's a friggin' great hour and 10 minutes.
Nice. All right. Well, court is dismissed.